made me a smoothie. I normally drink one every morning, but I forgot to get one this morning. So it's no time like the present time.
Yeah.
Ooh, look at my hair.
Job it up to.
Um, can you hear that feedback?
I thought I heard something. I can't hear a lot of it.
Well, we went down to the land today, and we had an organization that been contacting us, wanted to come and see us. They're from Minnesota.
I was talking to this guy at work today. He said his dad had been farming for years, and I was telling him about y'all, and he said,
hold on, because I'm getting confused. Okay, now what you saying?
yeah, he said his dad had been farming for years, and I was telling him about y'all had started, and he said his dad uses and been using for years flour and cayenne pepper. He said he puts that on his plants and flowers, and he said it keeps all the insects away. And I had never heard of it, but he says dad had been doing it for years. Mix flour and cayenne pepper.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I told him, I said, I'm gonna try and put it around where I know, like outside where I know ants be. I'm gonna put it on a little trail and see if it'll, repair the ants or keep the ants away. I'm definitely gonna try it.
Yeah. But for those, so let me do a little housekeeping rules. For those that are on Facebook, it's hard for me to bounce from place to place, but I did put on Facebook the link. Because let me mute it. The link is on Facebook, so you can chime in on Zoom if you want to have this conversation with us that we are having this month when it comes to mental illness. And so I want to thank Akili for taking the time out of his busy day. He said he just got off work, and I know how that is because we went to the field today and we planted, I guess, maybe 50 cayenne and banana peppers, and maybe 40 cucumber plants. So you hear me good, Nia? Okay. So let's get started. So we want to make this forum where anybody can share their experiences, whatever they're going through. Is a no judgment zone. And for those that have been following us for a while, they know that I suffer from mental illness, and so does Akili. So we just wanted to open up to whomever wanted to say something about what they're going through, and maybe we can inspire those along the way to not give up. So Akili, how has your day been?
Oh, it's been fine. Hectic. Went to the Grizzlies game yesterday, so I got to take in that atmosphere and all of the madness in Beale Street afterward. It was a nice vibe for the city, out a nice peaceful vibe. We got down there downtown, and then we left before it got dark and rowdy. So it was a perfect day.
Yeah. I'm trying to multifunction, the taking over the Zoom and on Facebook. But so I have came across a lot of people that have been suffering and didn't know that they were suffering from mental illness. And so I think it's important for us to give a face to the name. We hear people talk about mental illness, but they never see the person. And so I just wanted to just continue the conversation so people can see that we're everyday people. We have jobs, we have responsibility, and that we're still pushing through. And I don't want people to give up hope, because I know what it's like to not have hope. I know what it's like to want to take your life. I know what it's like to go through and feel like you don't want to burden anybody else with your troubles and to hold that in. And so we don't have to do that anymore. And that's what this forum is for people to be able to express themselves and know that we're listening and that we can share in our issues or the things that we've gone through to assist them. So, did you want to say anything else, Akili?
I would just like to welcome all those who are did in fact tune in via Zoom or Facebook. Um, I look forward to your input. This is like she said, this is a no judgment zone. We all have issues we're dealing with. It's time to rip the veil off, and deal with this out front. And it's no longer, the time for suffering and silence is over. We have to face this head on because it's taking a toll on the community, especially the Black community. So it's time to, it's time to get the skeletons out the closet and let them fall where they may.
Yeah, yeah. I see that we do have one guest on the Zoom, and it's Jerry. Jerry, did you have something you want to add to the conversation?
Can you hear me?
You just listening?
I'm just listening. Just tuned in.
Well, I appreciate you stopping by. Um, so, so for me, far as mental illness, and if I have to think back, I think I started suffering at a young age, but I didn't know what it was called until I had the big moment in 2019 where I was I had to come to face uh, what was going on in my life and the things that I have done. Uh, that was causing those traumas, those things to reoccur. Um, and if I have to say, on a daily basis, I had to learn that my expectations for everybody else was just my expectations. And that kept me down because I was like, oh, I'm expecting people to do this, do that. And I had to accept people for who they are and what they do. And that way, that could help to heal me to not have those expectations of people. And once we put expectations on people, they don't always fall through the way we want them to. So just accepting people for who they are and what they are, and not hold them to this level when we're not even at that level. So just allowing people to be themselves is one of my biggest takeaway from this mental illness thing. What about you, Akila? Your biggest takeaway?
Well, my biggest takeaway and the biggest point you know, that I focus on is that it's a lot more people that we know and people that we see and deal with on a day-to-day basis.
Mhm.
And they're struggling. And a lot of times the people don't know what it is. They're off.
Yeah,
I'm just off today. Or,
don't feel
I
good.
don't know
Yeah,
why I just keep crying. I don't know why my mood changes. They just think, it's gonna rain. It's about to rain, and you know how we were brought up. But it's just like I said, they just think they're off. Never paying attention to the fact that those little signs add up to bigger signs. You're off for a reason, and if you
mhm,
don't address it, it's like when alcoholics go to AA. Their first step is saying, "Hi, my name is such and such, and I'm an alcoholic." Admitting it, you can't begin to fix a problem if you deny the problem. Once you
right.
identify the problem, and then identify it and put it out there, it's time to then deal with it. But if it's in the back of your mind, well, I'm okay. I'm just having an off day. Black people don't deal with this. Black people don't go through this. Well, Black people, according to some studies, go through this more than any other race of people because it stems back from historical tragedies and atrocities that have been committed. Believe it or not, we still carry PTSD from some of the things that we have dealt with. It's been passed down from generation to generation, but we didn't know what it was. We're just off. We're having a bad day. It's time to get past that, get beyond the stigmas and our, I mean, we deal with it just okay, and especially with black men, and you weak, and no, we have to get back because it's people who suffering, and they can actually get help. They can
Yeah.
actually be reached, but we're so busy, judging and saying this and that, that we don't even try and we don't concentrate on helping them. And that's what we have to do. We absolutely have to start doing that.
So what do you think that we need to do as a community to make it okay to say that I'm not okay? I don't feel like myself. And then a lot of people say, well, when you don't feel like yourself, what do you mean? And they don't know how to put that piece together, say, I need to go see someone. I need to speak to someone outside of the family. What do you think the starting point is when it
Well,
comes to mental health?
well, like I said, the starting point is first admitting that, that it's okay to not be okay. If you have a bad day on a Monday, then the rest of the week, okay, I can see you saying you had a bad day. But when you have a bad day on a Monday and then on a Tuesday, that pattern, then on a Thursday, there's a pattern that's forming. And if you constantly pushing that pattern aside, you're not addressing the issue. That's not just a bad day. That if you go to the doctor and they write you a prescription for a runny nose, you're not satisfied with that because the runny nose is a symptom of a greater problem. We have to address the greater problem. I'm off today. Okay, that's fine if you're not off the rest of the week, but when you're off Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, there's a chemical imbalance in you. And see, here's a lot of what we can do. A lot of times, I always tell people the internet is used for more than just Facebook and twerk videos and fight videos. Identify your symptoms. Look it up. What's the cause of this? Why are you feeling so somber? Why one day you're smiling and the next day you just for no apparent reason you feel like I said, yesterday I was on top of the world, today the world's on top of me. We have to figure out why that is, and we have to address why that is. Not just say, well, I'm having a bad day today. I'm gonna pray about it. Okay, when you pray, you're still feeling lost. Then what? Then what? So you have to address it. Like I said, if you don't feel comfortable talking to a professional or just talk to somebody.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got a network. Me and I got two guys, and we call each other. I'm always checking on them. Man, I'm just having a bad day today, and that's a network. That's the network of three black men, and we know what we're dealing with.
That's
And I say,
awesome.
hey, I will coach, take a deep breath, regulate your breathing in and out, focus on positive, focus on happy, don't overthink things. Oh, get out and run, do exercise. That helps calm your anxiety.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to have that foundation where
Yeah.
we can deal with it. And then once we deal with it, we can accurately start to address it and hopefully get you help and get you better. Because there's absolutely nothing wrong with being okay. It's okay to not be okay. But
Mm-hmm.
we can't let you be okay and you not recognize it and not deal with it, not try to do anything about it.
Right.
That's the suffering and silence.
That
And
is.
I come to shed light on those dark places, those dark spaces.
Yeah. And see, and again, those are when people have lost hope and they don't know that there are people out there that is willing to talk, to say, look, I'm having a bad day. And matter of fact, I've had a bad week, I've had a bad month. And I know what that's like, to not be able to get out of the bed and didn't know what it was. And I tell people it was a blessing that I did go to Lakeside, because it's so many things that I've learned and that I have shared with other people about mental illness. And it shows up in different ways in everybody's life. And then, like, my anxiety, sometimes it gets so overwhelming until I'm like, I can't even go outside today. And those are some signs of mental illness, when you have pushed away from your family, you stop doing the things that you love, your communication starts to suffer. There are so many signs, but I think for us doing this work and being transparent to people to see that, yeah, we're suffering, but we're also trying to help and we are seeking help. And that's the important thing. that I take away from it. And then I applaud you for having boots on the ground that's working with these men. And I think that's another thing that we need to see men out there saying, look, I'm not good today. And because you'll see women out there, advocating for mental health. But I think it's great that you are doing some work behind the scene. And hopefully, one day that these men will come forward and say, look, sister, you're not by yourself. Look, I'm suffering too. And if you need somebody, you can call me, I can call you, and become that support system that we all need. And we know that it takes the village. When we talk about the village, we talk about how it takes a village to raise a child, but it also takes a village to heal. And so that's what we're about. We're about healing the inner person. And we say pray. Yeah, you can pray, but then after you pray, what are you going to do? What are you going to do after you pray? Because you have to make some type of move. You got to move forward. You got to put some things in place so you can feel better. And that's ultimately the thing that we want people to feel better and know that suicide is not the way. But I know what that feels like to not have any hope to say, if I go to sleep, if I don't wake up, it's okay. And then to go further to follow through with that suicide. Um, and that's one of the biggest things that has been bothering me lately, is that people feel, and when you commit suicide, man, the things that people have been committing suicide lately is just it's been bothering me, because when I attempted, I just took some pills, and I thought that was the easy way out, but it takes so much to stand on a bridge and jump. Can you imagine that? I can't imagine that. Because they went so far as to go stand there and say, is this the right thing? And then say, yeah, it is for me, and to go. What do you think about that? It's just, what do you think about the suicide rate,
I
how it's
mean,
increasing?
to you know, and like I said in the last, I mean, suicide rates in black people are on the rise, and black men, I think that's between the ages of 16 and 20 something, I can't remember. They have increased 23% in the last 5 to 10 years. And I used to be that guy who, like, suicide, that's a coward's way out. You know, before I knew what I knew, I was that guy. But suicide is a sick person's last resort. And oftentimes they don't see it as a last resort. They see it as freedom. They see it absolutely as freedom, because I won't wake up tomorrow feeling like this. Think about that. That's a powerful emotion, to want to end your life because you hurt and you are suffering and you are so sick. So you say, if I'm not here, I don't care. We have people who love us. We may have spouses, we have children, we have parents, siblings, co-workers, friends. We have people who love us. But imagine the place you have to be for you to say none of that matters. Because if I'm not here, the world will be a better place. And imagine following through on that. All the love that you receive, and we know we have people who love us, but in that moment, in that instance, none of that matters, because we're hurting so bad and we just want to stop hurting. We don't want to deal with the pain anymore. And here's the thing, our breakthrough literally could come the next second, but we cannot see that second because we are in such a dark place. We are hurting so bad. We are so sick. So we cannot see that second. We're stuck in this moment. And we don't know how long this moment, we just know this moment is here and we're tired of battling. And a lot of times they see suicide. It's not the final act. It's a relief. It's a relief. And that's, I've heard people who, you know, we just had a guy a couple of weeks ago, stopped the traffic on the flyover, jumped to his death. I had a guy who got a text message, a guy, who frequents a bar with us, took his own life. So in my lifetime, I have known four black men take their own life. That's a lot in one person. And I'm not 85 years old. In my lifetime, I've not just heard of, I have personally known four black men to take their own life. And I sit back and I say, man, that's just, but they don't see it as an act of desperation. They see it as freeing themselves from the shackles and the burdens of being sick, being hopeless. Because it sucks to wake up every day and feel like you're worthless, feel like you have nothing to live for, to feel like no one loves you, to feel like no one is there for you, to feel like you're dark. I always say, it sucks to be in a room full of people and yet you feel all alone. It hurts to be, you could be, I don't care how bright the lights are, you just feel like you're mired in darkness. And that's just that thought process to say, you know, today's gonna be the day. I take my life. And I don't know, I don't care about tomorrow. I don't care about next week. I don't care about next month. Today gonna be the day I take my life because I'm tired of waking up feeling like this. That's a powerful emotion. And we have to get to the point to where, I don't care how bad it is. Everyone, just a phone call away. And I often tell people, a lot of times people don't want to talk. They just want you to listen. The best conversation you can have sometimes is a conversation where you don't say a word. You are just an ear. You're a sponge. Let them get it off their chest. And a lot of times, it's like sometimes you say you get a big cry and you feel better. A lot of times they just want to express themselves. They just want to get it out because they've been holding it in. And we all know about volcanoes. That pressure builds and builds and builds until it explodes and destroys everything in its path. That's suicidal thoughts. We let it simmer. We don't talk. We don't talk. We don't talk. And then, boom, that day, it trigger, and we just say, I'm done. I can't deal with it anymore. We have to start addressing those feelings out loud.
And I agree with you, but so often we've been taught that men are not supposed to cry, and it's always the woman that cries, and that's a stigma that we need to erase, because you have some women that don't cry, you have some men that do cry, and it's okay to cry because that is releasing some of that frustration that one feels. Um, and so, and it's important to have a support system in place as well, because so often we don't have a support system where we can call someone and say, girl, look, I'm having a rough day, or brother, look, I'm having a rough day. I'm really low. And that person know what you feel, know what you're going through, and say, look, I've been there. Look, this is what we're going to do. And devise a plan to help that person. Because oftentimes they don't know what to do to pull themselves out of that rut. And just talking about it and saying, look, I have some days I get up and I'm like, I just want to cry. And I do. And I do. And when I went through therapy, my therapist said, we give you 5 minutes to cry. You got 5 minutes to cry, and then after that, you got to stop and then think about something else to do. And then so I started journaling, and that helped. I set that clock, and I just, and then I started getting myself together. That clock helped to kind of center me and say, okay, girl, now what you gonna do? Girl, you got to get yourself together. And so that did help me. And then once I started going to the land and getting out in nature, I didn't know how healing that was, because I wasn't an outside girl. I was always an inside girl. And now when I go to the land, it's just the fresh air, the mindset, being free. Um, it's just a whole nother level of thinking. I could think clear. I don't have the pressures that when I come back to the city they driving crazy, people cursing and things like that. So those are some things that has helped me, and just talking about what's going on with me and not holding it in, I think is very important as well, because I said earlier that I was a person, I didn't want anybody else to be troubled by my trouble, and to think about, I'm putting my burdens on someone else. And it's really not what we're doing. What we're doing is expressing ourselves so we can feel better and letting people see that we are human, that we have emotions and we go through. And so being a guy, I think that's awesome that you have been able to express yourself, not only with everyone that watches, but with the people that you come in contact with. So I think that's awesome. What do you think about our children? Because what they see, they emulate with all the stuff that's going on with the all the celebrities and stuff like that, and they want to emulate that. And when it doesn't work out for them, what do you think? Do you think that leads to a destructive path?
Hey, I think he muted. I can't hear him, Dolores.
Yeah, I can't hear you. You muted.
He's still muted.
I still. Yo, unmute yourself. I still. I still can't hear you. No, I still can't. You may need to log out and come back in, I guess. Okay, there you go. Good.
Okay. Yeah, that was I forgot I was muted. Yeah. So yeah, but I actually thought she had said something. Yeah, but I find it an absolute tragedy that and sickening that Megan Thee Stallion oftentimes carry more weight than Michelle Obama. So our children are sponges, so it's absolute that they're gonna pick up. But see, here's the thing: our children watch us. So if our children see dad moping, dad not feeling well, dad not doing okay, then our children gonna grow up thinking, well, that's how you handle it. Dad wasn't feeling well, so he didn't get help. He didn't talk to anybody. He just dealt with it. If they see mom in the mom, why mama always in the back room with the door closed? I hear her crying. They gonna think that's accepted behavior. They gonna think that's how we deal. And so see, here's the thing: wealth is generational, poverty is generational, curses are generational, and we have to break these generational things that we have been dealing with. That says, "Hey, look, we pray about everything." But prayer without work is fruitless. What are you prayed, and then what are you gonna do? I had a bad week. I prayed about it. Then what? I didn't talk to anybody. I didn't go, I didn't meditate. I didn't do yoga. I didn't do any researches as far as what could help me deal with my anxiety, my depression, my mood swings. I did nothing, but I prayed. But at the end of the week, I'm feeling like I felt Monday, but I prayed. But you didn't implement any practices to deal with that. Prayer is fine, but what after prayer? What are you going to do after that? You have to get your regimen. I'm going to do this. I'm going to cut out these foods, because believe it or not, believe it or not, they play a part in our mental health. Some foods help bring on anxiety. Fruits, stuff like that, they help decrease anxiety. So that's what we have to do. So it's fine to say pray, but mama was sick, and so little Stephanie saw mama sick. She saw mama dealing with that, but mama didn't talk to anybody about that. Whenever mama would tell me, I'm just gonna pray about it. What's wrong with that? And mom, I'm just gonna pray. We just pray for it. Well, then what? We have to say, okay, Dad, this is what's wrong with Dad. He's not feeling well. We're gonna go in there and we're gonna try to talk to him. We're gonna try to get him some help. Help can't be all the time in our community just saying fall to your knees. We say pray about everything, I stomp my toe, pray about it. And that's fine to pray about it. But then what? Because after we pray and we still feel lost, we still feel like we're in the darkness. We still feel like we're in a room full of people and yet we're all alone. But we pray. So what do we go from there? We have to start giving them resources and tools to deal with that. Prayer is fine. But this is what you do. When you finish praying, I want you to get out the house. We're gonna go for a walk. We're gonna go for a ride. We're gonna jog. We're gonna do it. We're gonna, that's what we're gonna do. We're gonna have tools to deal with it after we pray. After we get up off our knees, the struggle doesn't stop, y'all. I'm sorry to tell you. I wish it did. I wish prayer was the end all fix for everything. After we pray, we get up off our knees and we still feel lost. We still feel like we're worthless and we're nothing in this world. We pray, then what? Okay, well, come here, call him, call her, get together, get you a group of people, a network of people. It ain't gotta be just 2 or 3 people who you can call, you can count on. And they're gonna drop everything and they're gonna listen. That's what we have to do. We have to start. And that way our children won't grow up thinking it's okay for mama to cry all along. It's okay for dad to be sitting outside when everybody in the house and he's sitting outside in the backyard drinking a beer. He want to be by himself. They'll grow up thinking that. My dad did this, so this I deal with. I don't talk about nothing. If something bothers me, I just deal with it. But mom, I just go in the back room and cry and pray. That's what mama did. And we're passing those practices on to our children from generation to generation. And we're not getting fixed. We're still broken people. We're broken vessels. And we're not getting fixed. We're not getting repaired. And we got to start fixing ourselves. We got to start on the path fixing ourselves. And that's huge. We have to start doing that.
And self-worth and working on self is difficult for most people because it's hard for us to look in the mirror and say, it's you. Yeah, something's going on with you. But as long as we continue to do the work, putting ourselves out there, making it okay to talk about what's going on, the more people that will say, okay, I can talk. I see that Terry came in. Terry, did you have something you want to add? I saw your hand up. And you can unmute yourself.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can. How you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
Good.
Great. Yeah, I just made it on and I listened just now, and that's powerful truths that I just heard about us passing on generations of of being unhealthy mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, financially, and it all plays a role in our upbringing, and who and what, in our environment. So I'm gonna listen a little bit, and I'll jump back on, a little bit later. Hello, everyone.
And that's Terry. She's a nurse. So she, I think when you're working in the healthcare field, that you are really, really going through some things, not going through some things, but you see a lot of things and it really can shake you emotionally. So to be able to work in that type of environment, Terry, how do you keep from bringing that stuff home, and does it weigh on you mentally? Because I had a lady on a month or so ago, and she works with AIDS patients, and she spoke about AIDS and how it was running rapid in the community and how that has a effect on our society when it comes to mental health. So are you seeing any of that in your healthcare field?
Well, I am right now. I'm in California, and mentally, it's sort of I'm being battling mentally because of the environment. It's cold. I'm around a lot of unknown.
I don't.
12 years.
Okay, Terry, because I couldn't hear you. Go ahead. You were saying something about the unknown and you went out.
Okay. I said that I've been a nurse. Oh, that the environment. Um, but I've been a nurse for about 12 years now. And in this environment, and
You went out again.
For some reason, Terry, you keep going out.
as far as what I can do, I had to learn how to separate my emotions. I used to work with pediatrics, and that was a in that season, that was a lot. I had to learn that this is somebody else's situation, you know, and like Akili, I guess that's how you pronounce his name, was saying, you know, your food plays a different role in your overall mental health. And I eat differently from, you know, most people. So I just try to balance out everything and leave it on the table, you know, there. But it took a lot. It takes a lot, and I'm still working on it right now to this day. So, you know, I'm not saying that I overcame it, but I'm working on it. Thank you.
And that's just another phase to mental illness, working in the healthcare field and knowing that um, people struggle. It doesn't matter whether you're a doctor, you're a lawyer, you're a UPS driver, a farmer as myself. It doesn't matter what you do, mental illness will show up. Um, and we had a Zoom, and they were talking about mental illness with farmers. There are so many farmers that commit suicide because of the loss of their land, because they've taken a loan out, or um, the crop didn't come in, and so the suicide rate for farmers are up. And so we have to, you know, um, again, just be transparent with everyone, you know, because um, Akili, with you working at Coca-Cola, you know, and having that well, I want to say a stable income, but then how do you find that when it comes to finance, there's no struggle for you? It has been something else that has caused you to be depressed. It wasn't financial.
Well, not just that, you know, but see, here's the thing. You can be in the biggest house, have the fanciest car, have all the money in the bank. Robin Williams was a multimillionaire. He committed suicide. You know, Regina King's son was not hurting for money. He committed suicide. Money is not the end all be all. A lot of times when we have these things, you can have that big house, but it's not a home. Money can buy you all these people around you, yet you'll still feel all alone. So you can have all that and you can still just feel like, you know, what now? They told me to go get a good job, make good money. I did that. They told me to get a big house. I did that. They told me to get a nice fancy car. I did that. They told me to surround myself with superficial people. I did that. But I'm still not happy. I'm still depressed. I'm still lonely. I got all these people around me, but yet I feel alone. Then what? Because the journey to get there, see, life is a journey, and we have to enjoy the journey. I have a saying: life isn't about the moments of breath we take; it's about the moments that take our breath away. And we have to get to the point to where we're enjoying that journey. I often tell people I love getting up, going, watching the sunrise. That's peaceful. Watching the sunset. That's peaceful. All the money in the world will not buy you happiness. It can buy you people around you, but it can't buy you serenity. It cannot buy you contentment. A big old house, 13 rooms, but it's not a home because it's empty. You know, that car you drive with that nice suit. Imagine being in that $60,000 vehicle with that $800-900 suit on, and you're driving down the street with tears in your eyes. but you got everything society told you to get, but you still not happy. So money is not the end all be all. I would rather be living check to check and be mentally healthy every day than to have everything that society tells me that I should get and wake up every day feeling worthless and feeling like I'm just something not right. I'm just not happy. I just, I hate my life. I hate myself. That's a heavy burden to carry because I did everything. We did it all. We obeyed all the rules that society told us to. We've accumulated all this wealth, all this, materialistic things. We've accumulated all of that. But yet we still did not take care of our mental, take care of our inner being while we were acquiring those things. We spent all our time grinding, money. And when we were off, don't worry about that. I still got to make that money. When we were a little sad, put that on the background. I got to go make that money. So that it built up. It builds up over time. So now you can sit back in that big old house, look around, and with tears in your eyes. So was it worth it? No, it wasn't. Because we made it, but we didn't. We made it to where we should be, but we didn't take time to appreciate the journey. And we have to start doing that. Like I said, I know we need money, but I promise y'all, money. People every day have money and they are not happy. I often hear athletes say, I wish I could trade places. Celebrities, rich people that say, I wish I could trade places with people who just average everyday people. And they will see. I don't want to be rich. I don't want to be a billionaire. I want to be happy. That's all I want. And money doesn't necessarily bring you happiness. It can buy you all the material things, but money does not guarantee you. Money is not the end all be all for happiness. I've been working hard my whole life and I'll continue to work hard. And if working hard gets me everything society tells me, that's fine. But if it doesn't, and I'm mentally okay, I'm mentally happy, then I count myself as rich. My bank account may not show it, but in my mind, I know it. And that's all that matters to me.
That is so true because oftentimes we think we equate happiness with the big house, with the nice car, the name brand clothes, the designer stuff, and we didn't grow up like that. But when you look at people, you see they got that. Oh, I want that. And so what I have learned to do is just to be happy with self. Um, and now that we own some land, I'm excited about. I told Tony, I said, if I just had a shack down there to live in, I wouldn't mind because of the peace that I get when I go to the land. And we've got to stop looking at stuff that's going to make you happy. Because if you don't have it, if you can't have a healthy mind, you can't enjoy the material things because it starts with the mind first. And we got to heal the mind before we can enjoy the finer things in life. But we put so much emphasis on material things and we forget about what the mind says and what the mind would tell you to do. And that mind is a powerful thing. It's a powerful thing and it's a weak thing. It's the weakest part of your body because we'll let things control us. We'll let what a person say control us. Down to how we dress, how we look, the way we carry ourselves, because we want to be seen in the best light. And it's okay to be seen in a light that, look, I need some help. I'm struggling. My mind ain't right. I feel like I might do something. So having that network to where we can call on one another and say, look, I'm struggling. Can you talk to me? This is how I'm feeling. I feel like if I could just scream and then I'm all right if I scream. If you say, girl, go and scream, or dude, go and scream. So we've got to create that environment where we can speak our mind and it's okay. And I see we have a guy, David, that has checked in. David, do you want to add anything to this conversation about mental illness?
I'm just going to catch up and see what's going on. Terry sent me a link and raised my hand for a later response. Thank you.
And we have Boga here. Hey, Boga, how you doing?
Hey,
wanna
I'm
add
doing
to the
great.
conversation? Good, good, good. Good to
Are
see you.
you? Good to see you.
Yeah, you all right today?
I am. How are you?
Yeah, I'm great. I'm great. Went out to the farm and planted some peppers and cucumbers, and so anytime I can get a chance to go out there is a blessing, and it helps with the mental as well.
Yes, that should
So
be so soothing.
yeah, it is. It is. So
Mhm.
how are you? What's going on with you?
Nothing much. Just got back from cheer competition. So pretty busy weekend and then straight to work.
Yeah.
Um, it's kind of the hard part as life takes you through. When you're busy, you kind of just go through the motions, but then when things settle down, you go back to, different places. So this weekend has been pretty good, pretty busy, able to provide some support to some young ladies that are, in a sense, suffering with some peer pressures and some bullying. So having the opportunity to spend time with about 50 young ladies from kindergarten to high school level is beneficial for myself, but also beneficial for them.
Yeah, so we've been talking about, of course, mental illness, and the conversation we just finished, Keely and I was talking about finances and how we put so much emphasis on the big house, the money, and the car and the clothes, the designer things. And at the end of the day, that doesn't make you happy if you're still suffering mentally. And what are your thoughts on having all the money and all the things that society say you must have in order to be happy, and you're still unhappy?
I totally agree with you guys that, that old saying, money can't buy you happiness. Some of the people that I've seen very well off with all of the things that their heart desires, but they don't have some of those basic things. They don't have that high self-concept, which kind of leads them down a negative road, so to speak. I do know a gentleman in particular. He has multiple businesses and they are thriving. But unfortunately, he's still dealing with, as he tells me, he has daddy issues. But he's still dealing with the relationship that he does not feel like he had as a young man with his dad. And so that comes back to bite him, so to speak, in all of his relationships, not only with, relationships with women, but also friendships. And he sees it more prevalent when they're, when it's with his friendships. And I, talked to him about that. And a lot of it he was telling me is that in some instances, he's kind of envious, not quite of the fact that he's upset that they have something that he doesn't have. He just desired to have what they had. Some of them have those relationships with their dads, and then now some of them have sons where they have those relationships. So he sees it twofold. And unfortunately, he has had neither one of the two because he does not have any sons. He has daughters. So, but I truly believe that you can have as much money, all of your bills can be paid, you can have every designer item that you feel like you need, but when you're empty on the inside, the outside doesn't matter.
Because I think oftentimes we wear these masks. We show up the way people think we should show up. And so we try to feed into what you see of me. And so when we try to show up as someone else, it ends up taking us down that path of um, depression. Because I know when I was teaching and when I would go to work, it had gotten to the point where I couldn't remember how I got to work and what did I do when I got there. And people would come and say, well, you did a great lesson. Your lesson was awesome. And what did I teach? And I would even forget how I got to work. And so when the more I started farming, the more I was able to say, look, I'm all right with my hair. I'm all right if I don't wear makeup anymore. So it's all right if I don't have on any lip gloss. It's okay because I stepped outside of what I thought everybody wanted to see. And that's what we have to do, is be who we are and allow people to see us for who we are, accept us, and some of them not, and some of them will, and say that I'm okay. And then, as Akila said, call on those people when you're struggling, and when you need to have that sidebar conversation. And again, I want to thank him for just being the face on this program to give that face to mental illness when it comes to the man, because you know we've always seen the women thrown out in front, and I don't want to say thrown out in front. We've always been the face of mental health. And then I want to thank everybody that's participating tonight, because we've never seen mental illness as a thing in our community, because we've always been taught that Black folks supposed to be strong. We don't need this, we don't need that. But there are things in place to help all of us, and we all struggle. It doesn't matter what color I am, or what color my eyes are, or um, anything like that. We struggle, and we all struggle. And I see Dr. Bill Evans has joined us. Dr. Evans, how are you? You got something you want to say about mental illness? Oh, let me tell you, Dr. Bill is a soil scientist, and he helps us out a great deal on the farm when we need help with different plants or things like that. So we appreciate him. And so, Dr. Bill, you want to say anything about mental illness?
Oh, I don't know. I just joined the call, so I'm listening a little bit. But you are right. Mental illness knows no color. It knows no gender. It knows no time. It knows no age. It knows no social status. It knows no income. If any of, all of us have family or friends that we know have been impacted by mental illness. And we forget sometimes maybe that we probably have friends that are affected by, or family that are affected by mental illness, and we don't know that. And then, Miss Dolores and I, we have a combination of a friend relationship as well as a professional relationship. There's peers in our professions also that struggle with this. And we give empathy and sympathy sometimes to someone who broke their leg, or someone that had a heart attack, or someone that, heaven forbid, had a child that was injured or anything like that, or lost a parent recently or something like that. Sometimes we just need to give our friends a physical or mental or spiritual hug, whether we know they need it or not. And we forget that sometimes. We pop off at each other, and we just forget that words have consequences. We forget that that we don't walk in each other's shoes. Um, you know, I I've I've got family members that have some struggles with mental illness, like most of us, probably all of us do, as I said. But I don't. It was 6 or 8 years ago. I went through a period where 3 of my peers committed suicide. 3 of my friends and peers and stuff like that committed suicide. None of them came to me. I knew some of them had some struggles. I knew at least 2 of them had struggles. But one of them, I would have never guessed in a million years that they would have committed suicide. Another one, maybe. And the other one, maybe. But it didn't click. I mean, it didn't click at all. And then we go through the same things. And I honestly, maybe Dolores, maybe you know more about how we can better be, be supportive and be loving to these folks without being intrusive. That's another thing. Mental illness, and still some physical illnesses, but mental illness still has huge stigmas about it. But I'm a scientist. I'm a member of a church, but I'm also a scientist. And on the science side of the ledger, your brain is a giant chemistry and biology factory. And all it takes is a little bit of that to go off to have something be not quite right. And we have, and that doesn't make that person any better or any worse than the rest of us. But it means, and we all have our things. I mean, heaven knows, if we all wrote our secret lists of things down, whether it be that we arrange our socks in a weird way in the drawer or whatever, someone else would find that disturbing. But I don't know. What do you think, Miss Dolores? How do we support each other without being intrusive?
For me, it's just having these type of conversations where we can get on Zoom or Facebook and just have a conversation and allow people to feel free to come forward and say, man, I really learned something tonight. And then a lot of times after my Zooms, I do have people to contact me and we talk for an hour or so. And then I have a couple of people that we know has reached out to me. So it's just being transparent and allowing people to see the you and being safe enough to, because I called my daughter-in-law and my aunt, my secret keepers. So I think we all have people that we entrust our secrets to. And so those are the things that we don't want anybody to know, and we don't want anyone to point that finger at us. So I want to ask Akili the same question that you just asked, because he has been with me since day one, and then I want Bogle to answer that question too, because she's been with me since day one as well.
Let's say, so if I fall and break my leg, I go to the doctor. They know my leg is broken. If I break my arm, I go to the doctor. There's a remedy for that. They put a cast on it. But if I'm broken on the inside, how does that show? I cannot go and say to the doctor, fix me. Well, what's wrong? I'm broken. You can put a cast on my arm. You can put a cast on my leg. You can't put a cast on my mind. You can't put a cast on my spirit, my soul, So that's the stigma that we deal with. But if I break a leg or an arm, you can remedy that. But when I'm broken in my spirit and my soul, and a lot of times that's what mental illness is, especially when we have those suicidal thoughts. We are broken on the inside. We are broken in our mind. What do we do? Now, it's something that you said earlier about having a mask on. And it's true. We all wear a mask. Society tells us to go out there and wear a mask. You go out there, you work hard, you do this, and then you attain all this. But at some point, we should get tired of wearing a mask. Rip that mask off and say, this is me. Unapologetically broken. This is who I am. Accept that. You can't fix me, but you can walk with me. See, a lot of times, like the doctor said, it's about being too intrusive. I used to tell people, don't try to fix me. Just help me, Don't fix me. On my own time, on my own terms, I'll start that process. Don't fix me. Just help me. Walk with me. be there for me, lend an ear. If I want to call and just, sit on the phone and whistle for 20 minutes, just take 20 minutes and be there for me. And I'm not trying to, what's going on with your marriage or, are your kids doing this? No, just listen, just be there. The best ability is availability. And if I need you, you should be able to say, you know what? I was going to go to the gym. Let me put off 20 minutes. That's what we have to do. We have to build that brick encasement around us and around our spirit and around our physical and our mental being. We have to have that we can come to people, like you said, this is my wall keeper. When all is falling down, I know he gonna help hold that wall. I know she gonna help hold that wall. And we have to have those people. And it's not about them, like we always say, I'm putting business out there. It's not about that. We have to get away from that stigma of, putting my business out there. No, because if I'm broken on the inside, then you have to reach out and try to get someone to help you. It's nothing wrong with being broken. It's absolutely okay to be broken. It's not okay to be broken and not try to remedy that. That's not okay. You can be broken. That's a process to fix us. But to be broken and say, I'm not going to deal with it, I'm not going to acknowledge it, because like I said, eventually that volcano, when the pressure builds up, it explodes and destroys everything. And we don't want that for ourselves. We don't want to keep it inside. Don't talk about anything. Don't do anything to remedy that. And then one day we're standing on the bridge and we don't know how we got there.
That is so true. And when they talk about, I'm my brother's keeper, and I always say, no, I am my brother, I am my sister, because if my sister hurts and if my brother hurts, then I hurt. And so we got to take that on, and we got to actually wear that, because we could be the change of that person that's on the bridge. The guy that you all know that took his life the other day, we could be that one person that say, look, brother, it's not that bad. Let's sit down and talk about it. And so we just got to continue to make ourselves available. And I don't care if there's only 2 people that watch, maybe that one person will say, okay, it's not that bad after all. So Bogle, what did you have something to say? And then we got someone that's name is Zoom user that may want to have a word as well.
I totally agree with everything that you guys have said in reference to being broken. I know that is part of where the name for my organization came from, Perfect in Weakness, that mask that I wore for so long, because that just became a part of my life. I mean, I was broken on the inside, very weak on the inside, but I maintained that sense of perfectness on the outside. And I think that conversations like these, getting people to become more open and more aware that this truly does exist outside of, it being this stigma that, okay, you're crazy, that is going to, in all aspects, create, I guess, an avenue for people to seek help. Having that person to listen to, everybody does not have that. I think for myself and many others, maybe it wasn't that I didn't have it. It was just, how do I even start the conversation to let someone know just how I have allowed myself, because that's how I felt. I allowed myself to feel, and I allowed myself to, get to this dark place. So having someone to just listen, because there are times when a person who is going through something, when we're battling issues, when there are things that we're struggling with, I don't need you to say a word. I may just need you to listen. I don't need to see you. I don't need to hear you. I just need you to listen. There was a friend of mine I would call, and just listening to the breathing was a sense of comfort to me, because that let me know that there was someone that was sharing my space. And at that moment, I was the center of the attention that I was giving to them what I needed to get out. And they were receiving it without judgment, whether they did or not. I didn't see their face. I mean, they were on the phone, but I just needed that. And that is when I found myself needing to journal, because a journal could not say anything back to me, but it could speak to me, if that makes sense. It could not talk to me, but it could speak to me, because there my words were, and my words became more than just emotional feelings trapped on the inside. They became moments of truth and moments of visualization of what I truly was going through. And by me being able to look at those words that I had written at those moments of despair, and I normally would look at those words in those days when I was having those excellent days and things were going great for me. But I wanted to have the opportunity to analyze what took me down that road. So that journaling was a sense of comfort for me. And I tell everybody, I don't care how old they are, start writing. I tell little people, you can't draw a picture, because it's okay to let someone know how you feel, whether you're happy or sad. I don't journal on sad days, just on sad days. I journal every day. Sometimes I journal 2 or 3 times a day, because there's sometimes I don't want to ever forget. I want them etched in my memory. And if by chance, I don't remember them, I always have something that can bring me back to that happy place. So, it speaks to me in that aspect. But I think that these platforms and these opportunities are the beginning of what we're going to need in order for us to heal in so many different ways.
I totally agree. And so with this being Mental Health Awareness Month, I want every Monday at 7 o'clock, we want to meet back right here and continue to give hope, and not only give hope, but provide a safe space for those that would like to talk. If you want to show your face, fine. If you don't, that's fine. If you just want to listen, that's fine. But we will be showing up for you every Monday at 7 o'clock, because this is Mental Health Awareness Month, and we want everyone to be aware. Not only be aware, but call some people that you've been thinking about, that's been on your mind. It may be for a reason. So let's reach out to those that come across our mind, because it may be for a reason, and we may be that one person that can stop them from doing something that they thought that they needed to do, and that is to end their life. So anybody got anything they want to say before we cut out? And we can stay here as long as we want to, but I don't want to hold you too long, because we'll be back next Monday at 7 o'clock. So anybody want to say anything before we go? If not, I say good night. And
Well, I'll tell you something.
oh, okay.
I, uh, I think y'all doing a great job with this, carrying this thing on, so that other people can jump in and share if they would like, or just listen. Sometimes people just need to hear, you know. And I'm just excited to see this growing, and that you all are continuing. Those who participate with her on a regular basis, hey, we appreciate that, and hope that you all continue. Dr. Evans, thank you for chiming in. And Mr. David, I hope to see you again soon as well, everybody. So stay safe, and thank you for participating.
I think David raised his hand. Did you, David?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Just cutting in, kind of catching the end of this platform, definitely enjoying what it is that I'm hearing. Some of the things I've been recently a part of a class that's an organization. I'm not sure if you all are aware of it. Mental Health First Aid Certified. It originated in Australia. It's an international organization, which they bring in someone, or you can do, I'm sure, on Zoom, and they train you how to communicate with people, how to get people to not feel scared to talk. But me being trained, I am not certified to diagnose anyone, but I am certified as far as being trained on how to communicate with someone and get them to the right help. So it's an organization. It was like 3 or 4 hours online testing and maybe a 5-hour in-section class that was really valuable, really valuable to me. And my church sponsored it. Just something to look into, to do platforms like this, how to communicate, iron sharpens iron. How much better can we be to cut the enemy if we're prepared for it? If I can help someone get through their issues and solve problems, then that's solving the person that helps that person they're going to talk to. And mental health is something that is real serious. It's coming more into the light, and let's put a bigger spotlight on it. And so I appreciate this platform. Thank you.
And can you tell us again the name of that organization? And you can put it in the chat if you want to.
That would be great. I really would be interested in.
Yeah, the mental health training.
Yes.
I would
Yeah.
like, I'm also interested.
Okay. So David, can you put that in the chat for us, or Terry can give me your information. We can talk afterwards, and then I can share it with everyone that's on the Zoom. And Dr. Evans, you have something you wanted to say?
Yeah, how do we get the word out about the group that you've started to others, and what kind of how big do you want? What's your vision for this? This is my first time on. It's wonderful, and I think I know 2 or 3 other people at least that would love to join and be positive influences on the group and on each other. How do we do that, and what's your vision for the group?
My vision is to help people to come to grips with mental illness, and to give a face to the disease, to the illness, and to show just everyday people are struggling. And if I could briefly say that Akili, he's my brother. Terry is my goddaughter. Jerry is my cousin. Boga, she and I used to work together. She trained me in mental illness. And then we have David, and then we have some people on Facebook as well. But I want this thing to expand, and it is as open as we can be to whomever wants to join, whomever has a story that they want to share that may help someone else. And that's what we're all about, is helping someone else.
Thank you.
And we cannot diagnose. We're just here to tell our story and what we have done to, I don't want to say make it over, because I still have days where I wake up and I'm depressed, and my safe haven is going to the land, or just letting my husband know, look, I ain't feeling good, I'm having a bad day. So Dr. Evans is as big as we can imagine that we can help people. Akili, you want to say anything or about your vision, Boga, anybody? And then we're gonna call it a night. We have had an awesome night sharing. We have some people on here that haven't been on before, so I'm gonna be quiet.
What Dr. Evans, the thing of it is, the Lord has extended the invitation. I have too. And I have a saying that I always say: you can lead a horse to water and he'll still die of thirst. Now, I have told people about this, this meeting, and I have, put it on my Twitter. I shared it on my TikTok page, and when I was on Facebook, I shared it on Facebook. There's still a stigma, and getting beyond that stigma is really, really hard. In this day and age of instant gratification, something like this is not cool and sexy when there's a fight video on Facebook, or I can go make this TikTok, or I can go do this. So something like this that's actually needed and warranted it oftentimes takes a back seat to silly entertainment. And that stigma that still permeates our community and community in general, we have to get past that. I can reach out my hand to you and you can never grab it, but we can't stop reaching that hand out. Because here's the thing. I had
Heard.
someone ask me, what are you trying to do? Well, you can't change the world. I may not change the world, but if the world changes for one person, then I count as successful. And that's what we try to do. We may not fix everyone's problems or address everyone's problems, but if we address one person's problem, if we shed light on one person, then I count as successful.
Yeah, if we make ourselves and one person better, we have doubled the betterness of the world. So, absolutely, amen. Thank you. Dolores, bring us home.
What'd you say, Dr. Bill?
You want to take us out? You want to take us home?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So again, I want to thank you all for tuning in. I saw Ursula came in on Facebook. I want to thank her. I wasn't able to write it in, but I want to thank you all for showing up, and I want to continue to show up for those that are not able to show up for themselves, and giving a voice and a face to the illness. And David, I'm going to get your information and pass it along to everyone else. And oh yeah, and Dr. Bill, we may be able, let's do a farm visit where people come out and we can do a bonfire and, you know, do something on the farm.
Absolutely.
I think that'll be helpful for people as well to get out of their comfort zone into a element.
We could actually we could have a circle at your place where we do this from that, and then either the locals continue after the 7:30 hour or whatever. I mean, that might be, spiritually really uplifting. That could be really good.
Yeah.
So let's plan that sometime very soon. I will. I hope.
Future.
I'm going to hit you guys up in a few minutes when we're after the call here.
Okay. So again, thank you all for showing up. Those that had something to say and those that just wanted to listen in, we appreciate you. And we will see you next Monday at 7 o'clock. Stay safe and stay in good spirits, and let's lift each other up.
Good job, guys.
Right. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night and a
Good night.
Good night, all.
Good night. Great.